Hi, I'm Pastor Horton. Welcome to this week's message where we are joined by Brother Charles Matthews. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, my friend. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you.
Yes, sir.
Before we talked about just an absolutely inspiring testimony that you have from, not to date when this is being recorded, but about this time last year. Do you want
Hmm.
to kind of go into some of that for the listeners?
Sure. How you guys doing? Again, I'm Charles Matthews. Out there sharing with my new friend about just this time last year. Actually, I was in a life and death situation. Um, for those of you who that ever wonder if Christ still heals, He's the same yesterday, to today, and forever. Okay. He bore our diseases and our sicknesses as well as our sin. Last year around this time, Pastor Horton, I was literally in the hospital. Back up a few months before that, I had an upper ulcer and I threw up a lot of blood. I lost so much blood that went down to zero point 0.5. Now at point seven blood level, they require a blood transfusion. I was below that, and
Wow.
so I lost blood. My bladder swole, fluid went into my back. I had a catheter, and every place a catheter could go into. I was bleeding in bags for weeks. Make a long story short, I ended up getting dialysis. They told me that if I didn't get a transplant, I wouldn't survive. Um, Make a long story short, I went to the hospital about 3 or 4 times. The last time I was in there for the whole Christmas holiday of last year, and then I went into dialysis. But the same doctor that said that I would survive is the same doctor that stood in front of the whole clinic and said, "Mr. Matthews, your kidneys have recovered." Now they couldn't believe this, but it was a miraculous hand of God's grace. Um, And even right now, I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, my primary physician, and he's still saying stuff like, "I just don't believe it." And what I'm telling you tonight is Jesus Christ is who he says that he is. He hasn't changed. He is still the same God that he was when he walked the earth. And I'm a living testimony that he is a healer, not only in your spirit, of course. Be born again, you're going to heaven. That's a given. But
Mhm.
he's also a healer of the body. I don't have all the answers. I can't say why this and why that. All I can tell you is my testimony and my experience. And I sit here before you tonight as a living testimony, clean bill of health by the power of God. So that's just a segue. I'm get pass back to you, so I don't know whether you had more questions before I get started.
Yeah. No, it's incredible to hear that. Um, I
So,
have heard of, people being healed by God's grace,
yes,
um, in the Bible, of course, and out of the Bible. But to be sitting here with you and hearing that is just astounding.
yes, sir.
Um, I will say it's not just physical things either. Um, and it doesn't have to be this very, I mean, I don't want to sell you short. That is miraculous recovery. It is incredible to hear that. But
Yes,
I
sir.
know people who've gone to God and said, "Hey, I'm a little bit stressed out." And
Yep.
you take that to God, he'll take that from you. That is pain and suffering that you don't have to go through. I've talked before
Yes.
about my
Yes.
um I suppose it would have been almost a decade of mental health struggles, of
Mm-hmm.
depression and anxiety. And when I finally gave my life to God, to Christ, that burden, it's not completely gone, but it's lightened a lot. And I have
Yes.
hope and I have joy.
Yes.
So, you say Christ is a healer. I could not agree with you more. He has
Yes.
done amazing things in my life.
Yes. yes, and it's true. Um, Physical healing, mental healing is all the same when it comes to Calvary, and we are in our human existence. We go through issues in our life. I like to say it like this. We go to heaven, we get a glorified body. Okay, that's a given. We have an inheritance on that side of glory, but He also promised us that on this side of glory we have a warranty on our existence. Like you have a problem with your car, you got to get a warranty for it. You
Hmm.
go get something fixed, and although we go into a final place to be with Him, He doesn't drop us off and say, "Okay, just fend for yourself until you get to heaven." No, He said, "I have grace, like you said, grace, and I will lighten the load for you on your way to heaven." That's why it's called salvation, not just for your spirit, also for your soul, your mind, will, and emotions, and even your body. So it is I'm like you. For salvation to me is real. It's nothing.
Yes.
This is no fairy tale story. This is real issues, real people with real problems. That the power of Christ has become the answer for them. Yeah. So it's real. It's real.
Yeah. Now, we also talked before about you have a message that you'd like to give to the audience.
Yes. Yes. I want to talk to you just for a few minutes about this doctrine called foreknowledge or predestination. We talked about this in our church last Sunday. It's becoming a series because I see it as a love story that God knew us from the beginning, before your hand was a bleep on the monitor, before they knew what sex you would be, before there was a where, when, or what. He knew us. It says in Romans 8:29, for whom He did foreknow, He also did predestinate, or He pre-designed our destiny to be conformed to the image of His Son. I was sharing with our people that people say, well, how come God hardened the heart of Pharaoh? That's been a question for a long time. And if you like me, we got a lot of Bible training, seminary training, and stuff like that. But people never address the fact that God created us in a free moral agency, and it's kind of deep because how could He foreknow us, choose us, and at the same time say it's your choice? How does
Yeah.
that play a role?
I've
Go ahead.
had I've had so many people try to come up to me and argue why the Bible is wrong and why Christianity is wrong because that exact point. If we were given free will, but our fates are also predestined,
Yes.
how do those two things work?
Mm,
And the best way that I've come up with to describe it is God knew us. God exists out of time, so He knew,
yes.
knows, and will know us. That's just, it's weird to say that, but He exists outside of time. He created all of us with free will, because
Yes.
if we obeyed without free will, it would not be love, we would be robots.
Mm-hmm.
We were given free will, and we were given that to choose to obey and to love. But He also knows each of us intimately. He doesn't
Yes.
force us to make the choices that we make, but He works around those and He knows.
Man, he must have been a fly on the wall or something at our church Sunday because that just he took the words right out of my mouth, man. I mean, almost verbatim. Um, what you just said was powerful because the Greek term for that word for no is the word it comes from the same English word prognosis, but is more like pro egno. I messed Greek up real bad.
Yeah.
But I'm not Greek as you see. But my
Yeah.
point is, it's a word that describes, like you said, that He knew Alex in him before
Mhm.
he came to your mother's womb. And this is the part that blessed me. Um, God knew that in time you would say yes to him. And it says here, it says, because he knew that, he predestined, this is the part I love, to be conformed to the image of his son, that Christ may be the firstborn of many brothers. So he knew us, and through our free will, he said, Charles would pick me. So he chose my destiny before time based on that intimacy. I mean, to know that he knew me intimately before I was born in the earth, to me, man, is mind staggering. And he says, because, and like you said a minute ago, we said about Pharaoh. God knew that Pharaoh would not choose him. The Bible says he hardened his heart. I mean, he fit the bill, if you know what I mean, because God knew from the beginning, by free will, Pharaoh would say no to serving him, of course. So God allowed him to be used to have a hard heart. He said, it ain't fair. No, it's not fair. It's just. God doesn't, he doesn't, he's not like Saddam Hussein. He's not a dictator. He's not going to make you serve him. But when he foreknew me and foreknew you, he pre-designed our destiny. And every day now we'll be conformed to the image of Christ.
Yeah.
Like one person asked me, well, what's the high call? What's the high call? We press what about the high call? I said the high call is not what you think it is. The high call is not having a title. The high call is not anything. The high call is to be just like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Highest call is to be conformed into his image.
Yes.
And he, and even right now, like you mentioned a minute ago about you went through issues about mental health. I went through situations in my body. All through all these things, we've been conformed into the image of Christ. We
Mm-hmm.
come out of it, come through it on the other side of the fire. Um, we look more like Jesus. And to the point when we see him face to face, we will be just like it.
Yeah.
But right now we've been conformed. And it's a love story, man, because I just can't comprehend the love that he's seen me. Now, I could tell you before, but in my BC days, I wasn't the kind of guy that you would want to know.
Me either.
I grew up in the real. I grew up in some extreme conditions. I was into drugs, gang banging, womanizing. Respectfully, I had a nickname. It was Scarface. It wasn't because I had a scar on my face. Okay, it was because of something else. And I would go through money, the fast life. When Christ got a hold of me, he made me the polar opposite of who I used to be. My point to you is this: what kind of love is that? That he foreknew me, seeing all of my mistakes, seeing all of my foolish pandering and mandering and going crazy, and he still says, "I choose you."
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible to think about. Um, I don't want to backtrack too much. I did have just a thought pop into my mind of where I still sometimes get confused, and it's along the same vein of, we were predestined, we have a fate, but we also have free will. I think the
Yes.
best way to describe it to somebody who might not understand it is the hero's journey. It's a concept talked about a lot in creative writing. When you're writing a
Mm-hmm.
book, there's
Yes.
always the hero's story. A part of the hero's story is sometimes denying the call. So that's when, the mentor or the antagonist comes to the hero and says, "Hey, you have to do this thing." And the hero says, "No." And that's exactly where a lot of people find themselves.
Yes.
And in a book, the plot would go nowhere if the hero didn't eventually say yes.
Yes.
But in our lives, we have the freedom to just say no to the call. And
Yes.
I think that's probably the clearest way that somebody who doesn't quite understand how those two things work
Hmm.
could picture it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought of was, you said we have been through these hardships, your medical, my mental health, and those shaped us to be more Christ-like.
Yes.
I have an excellent example of this, being that I got a phone call from somebody very close to me who said, Alex, I'm struggling with suicidal thoughts. And I have dealt with those before. I'll be completely transparent. I've had three instances of suicidal ideation. And I went to a training to assist people who are dealing with suicidal desperation. And then I get this phone call from somebody so close to me. It shocked me at first, but immediately my brain went to minister, help him. And so I just started talking. I said, there's no reason to be ashamed. I'm proud of you. I I love you. I accept you. I will not judge you. And those are all of the things that I know would have helped me to hear when I was going through this.
Wow.
And so to be able to say that, I got off the phone and could feel the Holy Spirit working in me
Wow.
because I didn't have that person. But because I have dedicated my life to being more Christ-like and to help, God used my pains and sufferings from before to minister to those dealing with those same things.
Only God can, only the Holy Spirit can take all of our struggles and turn them into platforms to bless others with and through. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And he just and one big. And you said something powerful earlier. God doesn't need time. He lives outside of time.
yeah,
He created time for us. Time is our measuring system, not God. So he sees us absolute knowledge. He sees the whole thing. And so I said this Sunday, he's not in heaven. Oh my God, what is he doing? Oh, he's not going through in the panicking or he's not stressing because he already knows the end from the beginning. He foreknew us. A lot
yeah.
of times people have a hard time with that, and it causes my stomach. They be like, "Well, how come that's what happened?" I say, "I don't have all the answers for that, and I wouldn't dare try." That's sometimes some people get in trouble with that. I wouldn't try to answer every question. All I can tell you is that he intimately knew me. He intimately, and I was sharing this that when I was young, real young. I had a walk with Christ, like another life. And God revealed to me. He said, when you was young and walking with me, you said that was a spillover from where you came from heaven. That's kind of deep. I mean, but
Yeah.
as I got older, got in grace and everything, how things changed. But I can remember clear, Brother Alex, when I was young. The only one in the house doing it, I was the young guy. In like 6 or 7, I was walking with Christ.
Yeah.
Like I already had always been with him. And the Lord said that was a spillover. That was how it was in heaven with you and I. Because as a child, you're pure. Your heart is open,
Yeah.
and God can work. Got older, got into the scene, and left all of that. But that seed that He placed in me from eternity, and when it happens like that, as you know, Brother Alex, no one can take credit for it but God. God did that. This was something that He pre-designed.
Yes.
And it was like a homing beacon. After it came alive again, and even the things I've been through, the violence and the other issues, and everything became this wonderful kingdom salad, if you will. Everything is put together. This it's like Romans 8:28. It's working together for our good. Everything, and it becomes. It's like when God draws a portrait, He just is when God gets done with it. It's a great picture. And we're our canvas is still being drawn on by God. We're still walking out each frame every single day. Tonight, today's a frame. You and I meeting. here on this podcast. It's predestined.
Yeah.
Um, your story about happening to you, what happened to me. Somebody somewhere going to hear this. It's going to get hope, revelation, light.
Yes.
It's going to change their life.
That's always the goal, is if I can reach one person. I don't know
Yes,
if it's the same goal for you, but if I can reach one person a day
yes,
and
yes,
show them the hope, love, and glory of God,
yes.
that's I have succeeded that day.
That's right. That's right.
Um, I hate to cut off such a wonderful conversation, but we are running a little short on time.
Of course.
Do you have anything that you'd like to promote for the listeners, or a final message, or really anything?
First of all, I just want to say again, thank you for having me on your podcast. And those who are listening, I want you to know that myself and, of course, Brother Alex, we're praying for you. And hopefully something that was said that will bless you and change your life. Also, I have a website, Dominion Publications, um, where I have some of my books on that website. Again, it's called Dominion Publication. Go up and look at feel free my books. Also, you can hit me up on Facebook, Bishop Matthews. That's my page, and you see what's going on in our ministry. I've had a church called No Limits Nations Church, and we're moving by the power of God. So check us out. I hope you were blessed tonight by this podcast.
Absolutely. Um, to everybody who's listening or watching, I do truly hope that you've been inspired and that you find hope and joy from this message. Please feel free to like, subscribe, follow, and share the message. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and God bless.